and welcome to Kitchen Sink with G. In this mini-series, we'll be covering everything that you need to know about the 4 phases of the female menstrual cycle. In each episode, we're diving into specifically what's happening in that phase, what you might be feeling as a result, how to eat, how to move, and how to optimize your productivity or how to work in each phase. In this episode, we're getting into the ovulatory phase. This phase is technically not really a phase, it's so short, but it has a very high peak of hormones that warrants its own phase. It's short, it's sharp, and it marks the end of the follicular phase and the beginning of the luteal phase. On the map of the 28-day cycle, it falls right in the middle, but as we discussed in the follicular phase video, the follicular phase can vary very much in length. So it might not be exactly on day 14. In a perfect 28-day cycle, it falls on day 14, but it basically marks the end of the follicular phase and the beginning of the luteal phase. This phase, ovulation itself, lasts 12 to 48 hours, very, very short. You'll know you're ovulating, and whether you're trying to get pregnant or not, it's important to know when you're ovulating, purely because that is the time when you can fall pregnant, and also just good for your knowledge to know that in exactly 2 weeks' time, you're going to get your next period. You'll know you're ovulating because there'll be an increase in your body temperature. So if you measure your BBT with a thermometer or any kind of device, you'll see a spike in your body temperature. Your discharge, we're going to make a whole video on discharge, but down there, it's going to be real slippery, kind of clear, stretchy. It's like into egg white consistency. That is how you know you are ovulating and you are fertile. This discharge is perfect for sperm to swim in. You know, it's all the good things that you need for that. So that is also a very strong telltale sign of when you are ovulating. You might have some pain or stiffness in your hips, and some people might even feel their ovulation kind of like a sharp tugging feeling. If you feel kind of like tense and then like a twang in your right side. Some people feel this, some people don't. So what's happening? We know from the menstrual and the follicular phase videos that estrogen has been rising because of the positive feedback loop, the follicles, all of that. That's in the last video. So estrogen rises, she's reached her peak. That triggers the peak in LH. It's about the same time. LH peaks. LH is what causes the follicle to rupture and the egg to be released from the follicle. The egg releasing from the follicle is ovulation. So what's happening is the follicle ruptures, the egg is released from the ovary. It's then taken up by these like finger-like projections of the fallopian tubes, which gently pushes it towards the uterus. Inside the fallopian tube, the egg will either not meet a sperm. If it doesn't, the egg just dissolves and is absorbed by the body. If it is fertilized, if a sperm meets the egg in the fallopian tube, the fertilized egg, the zygote, will carry on, and it already starts, the cells will start to multiply on its journey down towards the uterus. As soon as ovulation occurred, progesterone is like, right, it's my time, I'm going. Progesterone aids the thickening of the uterine lining. So your uterine lining has been thickening. Bearing in mind this has already taken about 5, 6, 7, 8 days in preparation for that fertilized egg to go and implant nicely in that cushy little wall so that it has all the nutrients and everything that it needs to develop and grow into a baby. So as I've said, ovulation itself, the release of the egg, occurs within a very short window. The fertility window is after the egg has left the ovary. If it is unfertilized and it has dissolved, that is your cutoff time for sperm. Sperm can live in the body for, I think it's up to 3 days. So if you had unprotected sex 3 days before you ovulate, roughly, and there's still some sperm left, and then you ovulate and those sperm meet the egg, then you can potentially fall pregnant. So give yourself a 7-day. I'm going to make a whole video on how to know when you're fertile and not, so we can essentially get rid of birth control pills, please. So the hormones, estrogen peak just before ovulation, and LH peak like basically on ovulation. It is, within the window of ovulation, LH peaks. The role of LH is to push the final maturation of the developed dominant follicle, and it weakens the follicle wall so that when it is so big, it ruptures the wall and the egg is released. You also have a mini peak of testosterone, interestingly. Some people, girls don't really have testosterone, but yes, we do, and that is like minimal. You get a mini peak of testosterone. Progesterone, no, but progesterone will start to climb after ovulation, and FSH has a little mini peak, but that's about it. So what you might be feeling, this is your peak. This is your peak where your energy spikes. Expressive, focus is outward in comparison to when you're on your period or in your luteal phase, when you're very inward focused and internal. This is very expressive and outward. Energized and confident. Skin is plumper and glows. That's an actual thing, and it's also your face is more symmetrical in this phase. Think about it. This is the time where primarily you are primed to go out there and make babies. So you're looking your best for that to happen. You're energized, you want to get out and do things, action things, meet people, you're sociable, you're motivated, you got a peak in your sex drive, funnily enough. And yeah, as I mentioned, your discharge is wet, slippery, clear, and that is your fertile cervical mucus. Also, it's worth bearing in mind, and I'm going to go into it more in the end of this video, but if you're not feeling all of these like vivacious, energetic like feelings that you should be feeling in your ovulatory phase, that's okay. This peak in estrogen can affect people in different ways. It also depends on what you've done in your menstrual phase and in your follicular phase. If you push too hard while you were on your period and not slow and low and the things that your body needed, and you did too much in your follicular phase, you might be burnt out by the time you get to ovulation, and you might feel so dead and so tired. I know personally I've definitely experienced that before, and I've also experienced when you're ovulating and I have way too much energy and it's not placed, and I'm scatty and I'm all over the place and I don't know what to do, and then I get frustrated. So if you've optimized your cycle, these are the things that you will be feeling, and this is where to place your energy. And we're going to get into more later in this video of specifically how to place this high ovulatory energy so that you can maximize it and then rest easy in your luteal phase. So how to eat. I'm going to start with the types of foods. You're high energy, you're like doing stuff, going out. Again, similar to the follicular phase, you don't want anything heavy that's going to weigh you down. Think fresh, think light, think bright. So basically your salads, your raw foods, cold pressed virgin oils and healthy fats. If you're cooking light cooking styles like steaming, blanching, poaching, anything light, this is the kind of ultra light phase. Increase your carb ratio again, similar to the follicular phase. And yeah, you want to keep the veggies pretty high, so keep your fiber up. Polenta, like corn and stuff, is good in this phase. There's a whole list of ingredients on my website of foods that are specific for this phase. If you're training, up the protein, but again, make sure it's cooked lightly. And then, jazz up your food with some interesting dressings. Blend up some nut butter and use high quality cold pressed oils. Make sure you definitely hit your calories for the day if you're out doing stuff, so that in your next phase you aren't totally dead. Key nutrients in this phase are going to be your B vitamins, especially your B9. So that's folate, which it's been shown to lower the risk of anovulation, and it will also support progesterone production after ovulation. Zinc is a big one for this phase. Zinc supports healthy ovulation, so the release of the egg, and zinc is also vital for the formation of hormones. We've had the peak in LH, little mini peak in FSH, little peak in testosterone. Estrogen is just peak. Yeah, so zinc is vital for the formation of hormones, so that's pretty key in this phase. Zinc also supports the formation of the corpus luteum, which is what happens to the ruptured follicle after it's ruptured. We talk about that more in the luteal phase, but it basically then supports the increase of progesterone, which supports the development of the uterine lining. Omegas, a study in 2012 showed that omega-3s, because we've got a very high omega-6, generally speaking, we've got a very high omega-6 rich diet. So increasing your omega-3s to balance out the 3-6 ratio can improve your egg quality, and especially can prolong your female reproductive years. Vitamin D is actually great for immunity. It's underrated for immunity, but yeah, keeping your immunity up so your body's in the best state for ovulation. Also is good for progesterone production, which happens after ovulation, so it's good to get that in now. Magnesium drops around ovulation, so if you're going to supplement anything, or if you supplement on and off with magnesium, which is best to cycle magnesium, definitely have your magnesium around ovulation. Especially if you're training too, you might have crampy muscles and just body cramps. Antioxidants, you've had this peak in all those hormones and they've all got to clear out now. So you want antioxidants to raise your glutathione, which supports the detoxification of rising hormones in the liver. Again, my favorite word, polyphenols, which are found in brightly colored fruit and veg. So this phase is basically all about eating the rainbow. Eat as many colors as you can in a day, and that's going to lower your inflammation if you did feel any pain, and help the immune system and help the liver flush out your excess hormones. And then again, always hydration. Elevated hormones can influence your body's hydration levels, and as we've just seen, you've got high, very peaky hormones right now. How to move. So around ovulation, you have a surge of estrogen. We know that estrogen is energetic, it's anabolic. So this is another good time for high intensity and high resistance training. Estrogen has a neuroexcitatory effect, which means it excites the neurons. You've got improved neuromuscular function, so increased force production. So essentially you're strongest. And when estrogen's highest, you have your maximal anabolic effect, which means your muscle growth and repair is fastest. So this is the time for maximum gains and the easiest, fastest recovery. Again, it's important to note that some women are going to feel slightly flat around ovulation and then fucking bulletproof a few days later. So again, treat this on like an individual basis. But when you do feel bulletproof, take advantage of that. Sleep is going to boost your performance here too, so make sure you're getting enough sleep. I know it's a high energy phase, but make sure that you're getting enough sleep. I'll give some tips about that later. So strength-wise, maximize the anabolic stimulus of estrogen by lifting heavy, upping the resistance and the frequency of training. I'm not saying train every day, have your rest days still, but this is a good time to train often and hard. Endurance, you've got increased energy overall due to the estrogen peak. You've got higher recovery, lots of energy, and if you are looking to burn fat, this is actually your phase to do it in. List training is going to be that. Low intensity, steady state training. So long walks or runs at a slow pace. So that like lower intensity, but for longer, taps into fat as a fuel source. And estrogen and testosterone mobilize fat for fuel. So if you're looking to burn fat, low intensity, steady state training at this time is going to help. HIIT workouts, this is the time to actually be doing a HIIT workout, not on your period, not on your luteal phase, but now it's going to elicit a high metabolism boosting effect and also a higher calorie burn in this phase because you have more energy, so you're burning more energy and you can go faster, harder, more explosive and powerful movements. Now is your kind of bulletproof time to be doing those things. And other things, you can kind of have some fun in this phase. Try something new, like if you haven't ever tried pole or try aerobics or sweaty Pilates class, dance class, try a new form of movement or a form of expression. This is an expressive phase. And again, we said in the follicular phase video that warm-ups and cool-downs are very important because estrogen increases the laxity of your joints. That means that they are more elastic, more supple, but also means that the tendency to hyperextend or overextend, so the risk of injury is slightly higher in this phase, marginally, but slightly. Though estrogen energy will carry you through, it's really important to refuel so you don't disrupt your sleep. On sleep too, your energy is likely to be higher first thing in the morning. So morning training or morning energy out is the best way to like organize your day. So preferably not too late in the day so that you have enough time to calm your body down before you sleep so that you get the best sleep. Try and aim to eat your din-dins 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep so it has time to digest. And if you're looking for maximal gains, casein protein has been proven to improve muscle recovery and growth. So if you have at least 40 grams 30 minutes before you go to sleep, that's going to escalate your recovery and your muscle growth whilst you sleep. So how to work. Your strengths in this phase are this massive actioning energy. You're bold, confident, you have a glow, magnetism, you're optimistic, you're feeling highly productive. So this is a good time to focus on anything in your work life that involves high energy, giving a presentation, for example, or going for an interview, or having a big meeting, or pitching an idea, or brainstorming, or an event, anything that's going to require that high energy. This is the time to do it. So if you can schedule it in for now, if you tracking your cycle, if you can schedule it in for now, that is great. But yeah, now is the time to execute the plans that you were thinking about and building foundations for in your menstrual phase, that you went out and started researching and putting in the bricks and the cement in your follicular phase. This is the peak. This is where you send it home. And then in your luteal phase, which comes after this one, is the reviewing, the editing, the critiquing for improvements in the next cycle. That's how it looks in the 28-day cycle. Estrogen being the peak where you push the final things to completion. Beware of doing too much and burning out, but equally not challenging yourself enough or not giving yourself enough to do with this high energy, that you don't make the most of this energy, and next week when you're not going to have this energy, you need it done. Beware also of impatience, things that are out of your control, frustrating you. This is also an adaptive phase, so if something's not going your way, flip it into some way that it is your way. And also, don't be too hard on yourself if you didn't get to where you wanted to be right now. You've got another cycle coming. There's always more opportunities. There's a shit phrase that says everything happens for a reason. But yeah, maybe it's relevant here. If you didn't do what you wanted to do, you might not be fully ready for it yet, or you need another piece of the puzzle which will come between now and the next cycle that enables you to do it better than you could have done it now. So I know I've spoken a lot about this being a high energy, super, do it, crush it, you're the best, everything phase. But yeah, also don't worry if you're not feeling like that and you didn't go and action and do, and you full of confidence and do all the things that I've said that you were doing. Like, honestly, don't worry about it. This is all about how to optimize so that you get the most out of your cycle, but definitely don't be hard on yourself and don't criticize yourself if you didn't. So in this phase, prioritize making the most of this. Plan to be busy. Make your social plans. If you can, put the interview, put the event on this day, put the presentation on this day if you can. And yeah, ultimately, this is where you're pushing your projects to their final bit of completion or to a specific milestone. So that's what you're prioritizing in this phase, is getting shit done, basically. Be sociable, have fun, get out there, see your friends, go out, do the things that you enjoy as well. Find the pleasure in everything that you like and you love. And yeah, this is also a phase for pleasure in all senses of the word. Some little nuggets of wisdom. Check in with yourself regularly. Set an alarm on your phone even for 2 p.m. and that's your reminder, how am I feeling? Am I feeling super overwhelmed right now? Have I got to where I wanted to get to today? Do I need a snack? Do I need lunch? Do I need breakfast? What do you need? How's your energy? How are you feeling? Do you need to lie down? Take a deep breath, basically, so you're not getting caught up in trying to do too much or even just doing too much. Just take a breath. Prioritize also keeping things organized and tidy. This is if you're going out and doing stuff and you're not such an organized person. If your stuff is everywhere, messy house, messy mind. What's that saying? So to optimize how productive you can be, keep everything organized and tidy. And if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed, do something grounding. I think go for a dip in the sea if you can, walk barefoot somewhere. Stay hydrated and fuel for what you're doing. We're not robots, those are basic human needs. Yeah, rest if you need it. If you've overdone it or if you've pushed it harder than you maybe should have or could have in your menstrual phase and you really went to town in your follicular phase, you might be feeling a bit tired and exhausted now. So if you need a nap or if you need an early night, have an early night. So yeah, this phase is about making the most of this vivacious, energetic energy while still being mindful of how you are feeling, because everything is always all about you, how you're feeling in this phase. These are simply how you are likely to feel due to the hormones and the things that are happening in your body and what to do about it and how to maximize it and how to optimize it. I don't know what's happening in your life day to day. You might have not got any sleep and you might have zero energy in the morning to go and train. So don't. This is all very dependent on your own factors, but I'm just giving you the information so that you can take what you want from it, really. And then a little bonus section here that the ovulatory phase is a good time to basically celebrate you. Enjoy this high energy phase. Do the things that you love. Get dressed up. Make yourself look good. Feel good about yourself. Like when you've completed your projects, give yourself not a high five, buy yourself flowers. Like do something nice for yourself. Celebrate you. This phase is about you feeling good for yourself. It's a good time to be sociable and connect with others, even if that's, I don't know, your friend might be in her luteal phase and she just needs like a movie night with ice cream, and like you go and buy the snacks, you go and take her all the things. Like this is time for you to give also to yourself but to others. So yeah, prioritize just connecting with others as well, doing things for other people. Date nights by yourself, with your partner, with your girlfriends. This is a good opportunity to get dressed up and feel good. Take a risk. Use that natural self-confidence that you have right now to do that thing that you might have been thinking about. Planting that seed in case there was anything, but I have absolutely no idea whether there was or not. Execute the plans and don't be afraid to go after what you want. Learn something new, get excited about finding new things to do. If you're super organized, this is also a very good time to do meal prep for your luteal phase. So that's autumn kind of foods. There's one of these videos coming out next week on the luteal phase, which will tell you all the foods to eat, but there's also a ton of information on my website. But if you want to get ahead, you can start to be cooking those warm autumnal foods now, put them in the freezer, because when you're in your luteal phase, you might feel like cooking and getting homey and stuff, but it's so nice to have something there if you don't. And yeah, this is a fun, vivacious, I've used that word way too much, but it does sum up this phase, and that's the ovulatory phase. Save this video if you're not in your ovulatory phase for your ovulatory phase. I know these videos are super information heavy. All the information in writing is on my website as well, if that's more of your learning style. But yeah, this video will be here when you want to come back to it. So save it to watch later. Share it with any friends that also might get something out of it. Subscribe, like this video obviously, comment. I'd love to hear all your comments. And once these full videos are out on each phase, there is so much more coming, which I've actually written in the description below. Yeah, see you in the next video.